Have they forgotten all the good that you've done? How dare they take you for granted? I'm Henry, and you're watching my channel, Henry's Millions. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to be talking about the times when you've poured your heart in a relationship, friendship, or a job, only to feel like it was a total waste. Maybe you're the relatable friend, the supportive partner, or the office workhorse, but when you look for the recognition or expect them to reciprocate in appreciation, there's nothing. Why does this happen? Why do people forget all the good that you've done? Today, let's dive into the psychology behind being taken for granted, the cognitive distortions and the social dynamics that drive this experience, and most importantly, how you can break free and reclaim your self-worth. There are 7 cognitive distortions and effects that are behind this. I'm going to explain them to you in the psychology of being taken for granted. The first one is called hedonic adaptation. Sounds good. But hedonic adaptation is where humans adapt quickly to positive changes. That's why repeated acts of kindness lose their impact over time. There was a 2018 study that found that perceived appreciation drops by 40% within 6 months, even when the acts remain identical. It's amazing. You're doing something for someone, or like your job or whatever it is, or your partner, significant other, and these repeated acts of kindness or generosity, the appreciation drops by 40%. So the reason for that is our brains are wired, the reward centers literally stop firing as much in response to the same generous act. Yet another thing you could blame it on. Everybody is blameless. Number 2, after hedonic adaptation, there's something called a negativity bias. So our brains are wired to notice and remember negative events more than positive ones. It takes about 5 positive experiences to counter a single negative one. That's why one criticism can overshadow years of good deeds. So you do great things for years, and just one time you do something that, or you don't do something for someone, it's all thrown out the window. That's terrible. People remember flaws and mistakes more than everyday kindness. That's pretty bad. It's a wonder that we can even function as a society and work with each other and live with each other, knowing this. The third one out of 7, it's called discounting the positive. These are real things. These are in psychology, and these are real things. It's called discounting the positive. By the way, there's a book was written by Burns, David Burns. I think he might be a doctor. It's called Feeling Good. It's a thick yellow book, probably from 20 years ago. Amazing book. I highly recommend it. You'll find a lot of cognitive distortions in there. I think he listed 10. Not for our specific purposes here, but nonetheless, just a very, very useful book. So discounting the positive is a mental habit where people minimize their own or others' achievements. Acts of support or reliability are dismissed as being just what you're supposed to do, or this is your role, this is your obligation. Discounting the positive. It's a terrible thing. Next, something called fundamental attribution error. We tend to blame others' mistakes on their character. So we don't blame the behavior or focus on the behavior. We attack the person's character, like saying they're selfish, or but the funny thing is, when we're the ones in the driver's seat, or like being blamed for taking someone for granted, we have an excuse, like I was tired or something came up. In close relationships, this bias is even stronger. and it leads to misunderstanding and resentment. Moving on, the next effect is called the recency effect. We remember and give more weight to the most recent events. If your last interaction was negative, it can overshadow a long history of positive actions. So I wonder, as you're listening to these, if you can identify yourself doing these things and not just the other person. It's the other person, of course. How dare they? The next one is called all or nothing thinking, all or nothing. And it's overgeneralization. It's where you view situations in extremes, like they never appreciate me. They always do this. They're always like this. They're never like this. It erases the nuance and it fuels resentment. You know, but nothing is ever always or never. It's never like all or nothing. Some people think this way. We see it all the time. And that is a problem. Because one slip up feels like it erases a entire history of kindness. Finally, the seventh one is called familiarity and expectation creep. Not a creep, familiarity and expectation creep. Repeated kindness becomes the new normal. It's a new norm. What was once a pleasant surprise is now just simply expected. And this definitely erodes gratitude and creates disappointment and resentment. Briefly, there's some social and cultural dynamics that affect this too, being taken for granted. There's three of them. First one is called the martyr syndrome. Many cultures glorify self-sacrifice, especially in caregiving or service roles. Chronic self-sacrifice obviously makes you burn out and your efforts become invisible. Maybe it's a bad example, but it's like being the provider. I know roles are changing and the world's changing now, but you get the idea. And power imbalances. The most reliable people are often assigned the most work, but receive the least recognition. This dynamic is common in the office and at home. And finally, the familiarity paradox. The closest to us often notice our efforts the least. Ooh, that is so terrible. That's so unfortunate. I just want to repeat that. The closest to us often notice our efforts the least. The more present and reliable you are, the more likely your efforts are to fade in the background. It's funny. It's like you can break your back for someone and you're not appreciated. But yet if someone holds the door for them or gets them a cup of coffee, they thank them up and down. That's ridiculous. It's just borders on disgusting almost. Oh, amazing. Humanity. So how do we break this cycle? What are some evidence-based strategies we can use? I have a few for you. The first one is called, you're going to like these, at least two of them, strategic withdrawal. It's sounding good already. Temporarily reduce your contributions and observe who steps up and who complains. This helps assess reciprocity and reset expectations. Withdraw. Someone's not appreciating you, withdraw. You have to do it. And next one, it's related to it. It's called strategic novelty. This is where you mix up your acts of kindness, where you rotate how you show care to disrupt the adaptation. So you're not stopping or withdrawing. You're just rotating. You're doing something else that the other or others appreciate. You're doing something else. So, taking out on dates all the time, or dinners or gifts. Change it, stop it, do something else. Working overtime, constantly working overtime on the job. Change that, do something else that they appreciate. So that when you go back to doing overtime, they appreciate it. Or when you stop that, they say, oh, they start thinking of what they had. But they still have you, right? So it's a novelty. Mix it up. Another thing you can do is set boundaries. Seems like that's all the talk online, just setting boundaries. So everyone's setting boundaries. Everyone's got boundaries today. It's like first countries, now people are doing this. Communicate openly about your boundaries and your expectations. But when you set boundaries, you're seen as more competent and less likely to be exploited. So you can say things like, hey, I'd love to help, but I need to prioritize my own needs right now. Honest communication works. It's great. Hey, you can say, I feel like I'm taken for granted when blah, 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 right? Open some constructive dialogue that way. In a relationship, you can sit together and recall and celebrate past kindness. So it helps. It renews the appreciation. You can talk about it. And nothing is too small. Nothing is too small. Believe me. Sometimes we feel like embarrassed or guilty for bringing up things. But if we're not being appreciated, they need to be brought up because you're going to feel bad. Anyway, so finally, evaluate the relationship. If you consistently feel undervalued, maybe time to reconsider the relationship or at least renegotiate its terms. So we've all experienced being taken for granted, but it doesn't have to define your worth or your relationship. By understanding these psychological roots and taking these mindful, assertive steps, we can hopefully salvage or maintain a healthier relationship. So I'd like you to think about, where in your life do you feel the most taken for granted? And what small shift in communication or boundary could you try this week? I'm most interested in the withdrawal or the novelty ones. Your worth is not defined by how others treat you. I'd like you to remember that. But how you choose to see and honor yourself. There's a lot of treatment in spiritual and religious context where it's like, do good even if it's not acknowledged or underappreciated or stuff. Like, it's nice to talk about things like that, but in practice, I don't think it works quite that way. I'd like to see those people that give lip service to these things living in the here and now, in the thick of things with us. Nobody likes to be unappreciated. Nobody does. If you hold the door open for someone and they don't nod or give some kind of gesture, you feel bad just from holding a door open. And these people giving, authors, writers, speakers, people in history giving lip service to just doing, giving your life in servitude and stuff, and don't look for appreciation. I don't want to say it's ridiculous, but ideals, right? You deserve to be seen, valued, appreciated. Never settle for less. Appreciation is key, guys. It's one of my keys. Appreciation is key. And what sucks is in society or life today, if you get used to being unappreciated, and then you leave that relationship, if it is a relationship, not a work situation, could be a work situation, then the next experience you have, the next person, the next company, the next whatever, they're going to get less of you because you had this bad experience. So we want to prevent that. Generosity is great. Being generous, being kind, these are great things. I'm a big fan of them. They need to always be done. And just so that we don't have to withdraw from doing that in the future, we want to speak up. We want to be valued and appreciated right here and now with what we are doing. So I'd like for you to share your comments and experiences below, and how you've overcome being taken for granted, what worked for you. And if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe and share it with someone who needs it. Thank you for joining me today, and look out for the next installment Take care. Oh, come on.